Fresh and
All right, everybody, welcome to episode 100 of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, as always, Tommy Fresh, and you are all still my buds after 100 episodes. Super stoked to have made it this far. I'm so very, very proud and feel very blessed that we made it this far. I'm excited to talk about some stuff today with my dear friend MoBogsly. We're going to say goodbye to outsiders. We're going to say hello to Dusk Till Dawn. It's going to be a good time. And yeah, very excited. But before we get to all that, as always, I do want to shout out who brings this show to all of your wonderful ears. It's the Patreon, which you can find in the show notes. So it gives you opportunity to support the show. Keep the mics hot and the lights on. It is a great time over there. You get some bonus content and some stuff like that. And then also on top of that, I want to shout out the Buds Discord, which is a great place to hang out. It is in the show notes as well. It's all in the link tree. And yeah, but if you're listening, go check out the YouTube. Subscribe so we can get up to 500 subscribers so I can do the Levi cosplay. We're getting so close. Twitter's close to 1,000 followers too. Twitter's still a thing. But yeah, we have a great show ahead of us. Another great thing on the YouTube that I love to say is the Bud Rush Bella that I do with Gary every week. Almost every week. Sometimes we have to, if something's going on Wednesdays, we can't do it. But it's normally Wednesdays, 9:30 Eastern. And stick around for the end of the show. We'll get a message from Charmer. And yeah, and a huge shout out to our wonderful producer, Greg, who's just the best.
Hey, thanks, Tommy. I think you're a pretty swell fella, too. Momo, welcome back. Glad you're here. Excited to hear your perspective on things. A lot of fun stuff to talk about this week, so glad that you're able to join us. Tommy, I was curious, though. I was talking to Caleb, and they had mentioned that you were working on a custom audio notification for the server. What was that going to be?
Okay, we are here with Mr. MoBogsly, a dear friend, a person that I respect and I love, and he is just the best. And actually, I've known him for a long time in this game, and surprisingly, we are still friends. But I'm happy to have him here on episode 100 of Fresh and Buds, and it's a real honor. We're gonna have a great time. So. How are you, my friend? What's going on? How are you?
Fantastic. Always good to be back on this channel. Always good to be back on this pod. Always good to see your smiling face. Never a bad day.
Thank you. I mean, this is like all good vibes. I know the bullying is going to come eventually here, but we're starting with the good vibes, and then we'll move from there. But we got a great show for you all. We're going to say goodbye to outsiders, which I think we can all agree was a set of Flesh and Blood cards, but we will tell you in a bit if it was a good one or not. And then we're going to say hello to Dusk Till Dawn, and we're going to take a look at the new heroes that we have from kind of like a macro sense, and also the buffs that some old heroes might have gotten as well. And then we'll answer some questions, and we'll continue the 100 ep celebration. And I hope everybody's doing well. And yeah, but we're here with MoBogsly. Before we get to any of that, what's going on in your world? What's new with you, my friend?
What is new? Just traveling the world, trying to visit every country whenever I can, trying to fly first class whenever I can. Just living the dream, living it big as a poor man. It kind of works.
Now, do you work for an airline? Is that why you're able to?
I do. I work for an airline, so
that's very nice.
I just try to travel. When there was the Antwerp Battle Hardened, Calling.
Oh, yeah. I think it was Calling, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Calling in Antwerp. I just flew there. I said, you know what? I've never been to Amsterdam or Belgium. Let's just do it. So.
And how was it? How was Belgium? Had you ever been there, or was this your first time in Belgium?
First time to Amsterdam, first time to Antwerp, first time to, Belgium. Like, really, really fun time, really good food, really nice people, no complaints.
That's awesome. Now, did you get to do any like kind of cool things outside of playing Flesh and Blood while you were there?
Yeah, so I took a tour on the canals of Amsterdam. That was sick. I saw the outside of Anne Frank's house.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's there.
Couldn't go inside because it was sold out, but saw the outside of it. Saw the outside of the Van Gogh Museum. Again, sold out. Couldn't go in.
Nice. Did you see? I mean, how much of the you saw the whole outside? Like, you were really doing it outside.
Yeah, it was a lot of grass touching. I touched all the grass.
Well, that's new for you. I know that touching grass because you're just a filthy Kano player. But I'm glad that you got to go there and check it out. I mean, it seems awesome. But if you could hook me up with some flights, that'd be great. We'll talk about it after the show. But that's good. I'm glad you're doing well. We have a lot to get to with Outsiders, but I do have one question for you. As many know that you are quite the Blitz aficionado. I don't know if it's just Kano Blitz or if you branch out really. But we have new Blitz rules for the skirmish season. It just came across my desk here. I was working and then I looked and I was like, oh wait, something changed with Blitz. And it seems like we're getting somewhat of a sideboard now. And can you elaborate on that and tell us your thoughts?
Terrible. So first things first, I play Prism and Kano and Blitz.
Okay, yes.
2 decks that are very easy to target with a sideboard.
Mm-hmm.
But I always liked Blitz because you could show up with 40 cards and just jam, right? Just shuffle up, make your tech cards main board, make your hard decisions before the tournament, and then just play your 40, right? Like, should you play Oasis? Should you not play Oasis? Should you play this? Making those hard choices made Blitz special.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's going to get tight now with sideboarding Arcane Barrier and tech cards for other matchups for these classes. Because you only have, 12 slots?
Yeah, I think I saw something like 12. It's like a 52 card deck you have to bring, and
so
you present minimum 40.
4 normal equipment. Let's say 4 AB. Now you have 4 flex spots, right? If that's how you want to look at it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to change the format too much, but I think it's going to add longer to the games and make sideboarding a thing and just fatigue decks running a full 52, I guess 50, whatever you could run with your equipment
48,
set.
48, yeah.
48 card fatigue decks with drone. Good luck. I feel bad for those Kasai players.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. It makes me actually want to play Blitz, I will be honest. Now, the question is, you say Kano is something that can be targeted by a sideboard. What would you say is that kind of tech that can hurt you? That people can start?
Oasis or Spite is the main.
Mm-hmm.
That's the blanket cover. And even just having 2 Oasis in your sideboard puts your odds against Kano so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Throw that in your arsenal, keep it for the big combo turn, and you're so much safer. That's 4 life that you can gain instantly. 8 life if you count, the kill card, Blazing Aether.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty insane. That
is pretty crazy. But Kano, your days are numbered anyway. So
it's
just I mean, I think they said that it's going to be a trial run for this skirmish season, right? So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm glad that they're actually trying it, to be honest, because it can feel very frustrating to bring a Blitz deck and not have any kind of flexibility outside of your slots for your inventory or whatever. So it's interesting, and that I figured. Yeah, I'd get your opinion, but I understand where you're coming from. I mean, people are going to have a bunch of, I guess extra poppers maybe for Prism and
punishing the Oldhim decks or the Kasai decks playing those red defense reactions, just making them play those against Kano felt so good.
Yeah.
You chose to be a slow deck. You chose to play those cards. You should be punished. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you still, I guess you don't even have to worry about Oldhim anymore, but it's 4 cards. I don't think will tick the needle that much, but we will see. It'll be interesting, and we'll check back in with you afterwards and see how miserable
I'll be in the
you
corner
are.
over there crying. They're just going to take out 4 reds, add in 4 random blues, and I'll just cry. That's all it takes.
Yeah. But Blitz, it makes me want to play it, but I understand why you might not want to. You're still going to want to play. You just
it's the best format.
Best
format of Fab. Like, we can all agree.
I don't think we can all agree.
All the viewers, they can agree.
Yeah, comment below what your favorite format is and why isn't it Blitz?
Why it is Blitz? Yes.
Okay, either or. But all right, well, now glad we got Blitz out of the way. Because it's an inferior format. No, I'm kidding. If you like Blitz, it's valid. It is valid. And it's even more valid now that you get sideboard slots. Punish MoBogsly. Now, let's say goodbye to Outsiders, right? Outsiders brought a lot of cool stuff to Flesh and Blood, right? We got an errata to traps or what they do. And like, you got really cool stuff with Riptide. We got Assassin in fully fleshed out form. We had Arachne from Dynasty, but it didn't feel like, it felt like just like a small card pull, and you kind of tried to make whatever work, like with what you got from Dynasty. But now we got Azuri, and then also the new young Arachne for Blitz, and we also got some new ninja stuff, which is very exciting too. Dishonor was obviously a huge additive to both Benji and Katsu, but overall, Mr. Bogsley, what were your thoughts on Outsiders?
I really like what it did with the CC format. I think this is going to be a harsh take. You're not going to like this one. I think this was the best CC format since the Starvo v Prism days. I think that format and this format are the top 2 formats of CC. And I'm not even trolling. I think that's where we are.
Now, why do you think that? I mean, so I'm not going to disagree, actually. I actually really like where the format shaked out, right? Oldham, was still kind of annoying. Oldham's always going to be annoying, and actually not anymore, but was always going to be annoying. Lexi really got juiced up. Now, Lexi wasn't really converting the wins at the same rate as like some other heroes, and we wish Briar had gotten one more win, but we're right at the edge, and I hope it comes soon. But what makes this format so good to you?
I think the choice of heroes was wide. Mm-hmm. Like, was Lexi Pi one of the best decks? Yes. Was Oldham a close second, if not first? Yes. But looking at the top 8 of the calling of all these events, the heroes were crazy. It was always like 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. And the different things you could do with the heroes were so wild. Like, every deck felt different. Every deck tried something different. And you could really attack the metagame how you wanted.
Yeah, it really did feel like that. And it made sideboarding really, like, choosing the sideboard cards really difficult, right? You're like, what am I really afraid of at this given tournament, right? Is it Lexi? And it often was, right? Like, I think you were usually teching for Lexi and then kind of sprinkling in some other stuff where you could. And yeah, but all that being said, I don't want to brush past the fact that you think the Prism versus Starvo meta was great. What are you talking? I mean, I can understand the argument, but give us your take.
I think if you asked any Prism player or any Starvo player during that meta, they said they were favored. And I think that is the coolest thing ever, that both decks said they were favored in a super normally high skill matchup where both decks tried the second cycle, both checks like were pitch stacking and setting up their cool turns. You had Prism v Prism, one of the most like complex, confusing mirrors you can play in this game, in my opinion. And then you just had Chain. Was it? No, it was Viserai. Was it Viserai?
Yeah. Well, Chain was a big player. He was the I think he was arguably the third part of the triangle, but yes. Viserai was right there until Skeleta got the kibosh.
That's what it was. Yep. There's just cool, like 3-4 decks that were like the best decks, and I loved those mirror matches. I loved playing against Starvo when you didn't get pummeled and this and that, and it's just fun.
Yeah, you're just a box of, interesting
Chocolates.
takes because
There's always good things inside.
Because you just said this meta was great because of the wide variety of decks you can play, and then you're like, also this other meta where there was like 3, maybe 4 decks you can play was great. It's like, what? Make up your mind, Mo.
Well, like this format, Lexi is such a complicated hero to play so well, and Lexi's you could tweak your deck so many different ways. The Oldhim mirror. So many people were trying to either outrace Oldhim or pitch stack combo kill them, whereas Team Ascent was fatiguing Oldhims, which is the funniest thing in the world to me. So there's 3 different ways you could beat Oldhims, and these Oldhims showed up like a lost puppy dog. Like, do I play this way, this way, this way? And it was just fun.
Hey, I'm not arguing that this meta was great. You have to come to the defense of the Starva meta. But no, I do understand kind of coming into a tournament and be like, all right, I'm choosing rock, paper, or scissors. And I gotta hope that it just goes rock's way or whatever.
But
it
was like rock versus rock versus rock because everybody thought their deck was the best. So you just had people punching each other with rocks.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, hey, call in, folks. I don't know about this one. Get this guy out of here with 100 episodes.
You wanted me for episode 100?
I couldn't have thought of anybody better, except James White, who said no. But you know what? You're a close second, my friend. You're a close second. But hey, listen. That's interesting that you think all these things about these metas that they're so different. But Outsiders also gave us a draft format, which we had not had one since Uprising. So it was a long haul. And this was, a big, different draft format than we had ever seen. What were your thoughts on that?
They could have skipped it.
Really?
It didn't need to be had. Yeah.
Wait, are you serious? Do you not like limited?
I love draft. I miss the old days of draft. Like going back to Monarch, I'm having so much fun drafting Monarch again. It was great. Drafting Arcane was a ton of fun. Like everything Monarch and before was a ton of fun.
Interesting.
I liked Tails. Tails was a fun draft.
Okay.
But I think Tails was the last draft I really loved.
Well, we've only had 2 since then, Uprising and Outsiders. So what
it
is
felt
it?
like so long.
Yeah. Well, Uprising, I'll give it to you. It was very on rails. It didn't feel interesting at all. Now, I felt like Outsiders kind of fixed that personally. If it didn't feel too on rails, maybe it was a little bit underpowered. That's for sure. But why didn't you like Outsiders Limited?
I feel like for a good limited format, I could be wrong. You need something that each hero is trying to do better. Whereas Outsiders kind of felt like everybody was in the same pile besides Azalea.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very I'm going to try to play for the long game, try to dagger something. It was very chip damage based.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a big fan of chip damage. There was a lot of pitch stacking and fatiguing going on as well. But it just wasn't my kind of limited play style.
Interesting. Now, what about the aggro decks? We had Arachne aggro, and then Riptide could play aggro or slow, right? Had some kind of, depending on the amount of traps and the amount of loading cards, anything that would throw something into the arsenal. Did that not interest you?
Nothing in this. I loved the set as a whole, not as a limited set.
Wow.
And it really upsets me because I'm a huge limited guy. I love limited format. I love drafting. I just couldn't do it.
Well, that's the show, folks. We got to go and no, I mean, your opinion is valid. I will say, I definitely agree with you. Revisiting Monarch right now is awesome. And maybe it's because I just get to force Leviathan and smash people. But that being said, I wouldn't give Outsiders a better grade than WTR at this point. I don't think. I think WTR is arguably the best draft set that we've had, right? just because like it felt like you had like a couple different strategies and like really and it's iconic in a way. And then to be honest, I love Monarch because Monarch is so flavorful, and I mean not that Outsiders isn't, right? Like Outsiders is killing it in the flavor game, but like Monarch, just every hero felt so different, and I like the 4 hero sets, and you know the 6 hero thing. It does go smoothly. I would like to see a different shot at it. I think Arachne and Azuri definitely felt a lot different, right? Like they made those two feel different. Riptide and Azalea also felt really different, right? They wanted to do different things. They wanted different cards. I think the problem to me, and like I will concede to your opinion here, the problem to me was that Benji and Katsu, while wanted different cards, still were doing the same thing, except Benji just had unblockable stuff. At least that was my opinion on it. So I think they could have either given us a new ninja to draft or had kind of tried something else there. Does that make sense?
It does. I get what you're saying. I also think Kodachi should not be in limited ever.
Yeah.
I think just going Kodachi something is just
That's actually another really interesting point, because they could have easily had just printed a new token weapon, or even just given us like Edge of Autumn or something like that, like something that made sense for the format that was different, right? Like that could have been a simple fix. Obviously, Kodachis are iconic, and you don't want to like. It feels weird to play Katsu without the Kodachis. I'm sure, not so much Benji, but it is what it is. So, you know, hey, that's interesting. So let's give it a rating, right? So we're gonna do ratings like I do for the set review, which next week is the Dusk Till Dawn set review for anybody listening. So we're gonna say the worst rating is rotten, followed by stale, and then fresh to death. All right. So Outsiders, Constructed, what is your rating?
I would say fresh to death.
That's good. That's good. We got some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there were a lot of complaints initially, like Codex of Frailty. I remember it feels like a year ago when people were calling for the ban of Codex of Frailty. It is it is a good card, but it was not that good, in my humble opinion. I will give Constructed also fresh to death. Now, what about Limited?
You go first this time, Tommy. This is all you.
I'm going to give it a fresh. I won't say it's the bee's knees, but I did have a lot of fun with it. I adore Riptide and drafting Riptide, and I had a lot of fun doing so. He felt like he had the most counterplay with all the heroes and got to do the most unique thing. But outside of that, I didn't really love drafting Assassin that much. Like, I thought Arachne was kind of cool, just like this like little red line, super simple aggro deck. And Azuri was like, okay, like it's cool. Like we get these daggers and then you can kind of like pop in like a little sneak attack. But I wasn't even really into the ninja stuff. But then again, I was never really a Katsu drafter in WTR either. So what about you?
I'm going to give it a rotten. I really like that they're trying. I like that they're going out of their way to try this new kind of drafting set, and I can see their vision. I just really hope for the next draft they go back to the old days with 4 heroes that are all completely different, like Monarch, like Arcane, like WTR, just like different paths where like Chain is trying to do this, whereas Levi is doing this, whereas Bolton's doing this, and like every deck has its own path. But I love draft and I believe in them. And I think the next set they're going to crush it. So
yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, the next set is a draft set. We know that. We don't know where it is, what the heroes are, with the classes. The rumor is Savage Lands, which obviously I would be super stoked, right? Like, just give me some new brute stuff. Like I don't care. It doesn't need to even be good for Levi. I just want like a new take on a brute, right? I find Rhinar to be, while I love Rhinar, I think Intimidate was a cool mechanic for the beginning of the game, But that being said, I don't really like it as a mechanic going forward. It just feels, I don't know, it feels just like okay. Like it feels like really good for Blitz, but then you're doing it in constructed. So if you're like set up for a big intimidate finish, I guess kind of cool. But now we have all those cards to do that, right? So like any future brute can do that if they want, but we want future brutes doing other things with 6s. But
more rolling dice. Roll all the dice. That's all we want.
oh yeah, well we saw some pretty cool dice rolling cards, or at least one really cool dice rolling card in Dusk Till Dawn, and it is awesome, but it's not good. But none of the dice rolling stuff is, except for Scabskins and maybe Rolling Thunder. But all right, well, constructed and limited, or like together, Outsiders as a whole, what's the rating?
Fresh to death. I really like this set. I think the CC portion, the constructed portion, really carries the bad draft. And all the great cards we got really boost this set to one of the better sets they've released in the last few sets. So
interesting. Wow. I mean, that's saying a lot. Like, you would think it would have evened out, right? You gave constructed fresh to death and limited rotten, and it didn't even out at all. You just brought it all up to fresh to death. This is why I love MoBogsly, folks. You know, this is why I bring him on, because he just beats the tune of his own drum and just throws out these wild ratings. I'm gonna say fresh to death as well. I think the set was great, but yeah. I mean, the constructed part did really carry it. Like I love what the heroes do in constructed, like at full power, right? And you know, like I said, Riptide is like I really love Riptide, so I can't not give this a fresh to death, because it gave me another hero that I really love, like almost as much as I love Levia. But now since we've had you on before, let's do fresh faves. But we're gonna do our fresh faves from Outsiders to we're each gonna do, right? We're gonna do our fresh faves from Outsiders to kind of say goodbye. Outsiders, no more Outsiders. You never have to draft it again. Until they tell you have to. MoBogsly, I'm very sorry. Eventually it will happen, and then we'll move on to Dusk Till Dawn. Does that sound good?
Sounds like a date.
Awesome. All right, MoBogsly, who was your favorite hero from Outsiders?
I always get her name wrong, but Urzi Switchblade.
Azuri?
Yes.
Switchblade.
Yes.
I mean, Azuri is awesome, right? What now? Why is Azuri the one that kind of really
Poker Faces is just so much fun. Being able to be like, is this a 3 attack, or is it a super bad on hit that's going to destroy you? Just being able to look at your opponent in the face and being like, you can block it, not block it. It's good, you know, like.
Give me 2 cards.
Yeah, exactly. Give me 2 cards, and guess what? This card in Arsenal, defense reaction. Good luck.
Yeah, 2 cards. All right, that's my turn. Arsenal pass. Yep.
Like, it's just such a cool mechanic that you can almost like tell your opponent, be like, you should block this, and then it's just this mind game of like, wait, he's telling me to block it. Is he telling the truth? Is he not telling the truth? Like, it's just my kind of gameplay.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand that. It is really neat, and I'm glad that we have it. It's so flavorful too, right? Like, it makes sense that like the assassin's like, this might just be like nothing, but it also could be like a totally poisoned like stab to the heart. Like, you don't really know. So, and it sets up for like some really interesting end games too, where the mind games really get crazy, and you're like, actually, is it 7 gonna come in? Like, what's gonna go on here? So, great answer. Mine, Riptide. No doubt. Riptide just made, like, I remember seeing the traps from Crew and being like, it's like kind of cool. It kind of sucks that you got to play them from Arsenal only. But I like that they have these kind of like on defense triggers. That's really neat. And then they printed Riptide, and I was like, and we saw like collapsing trap, and I was like, oh, this is insane. Like, this is so cool. Obviously, it's not the best, right? Like, if you get matched into Kano, you're like, my deck doesn't really do a whole lot. You know, I have to like try to aggro them out. And if you get paired into Dromai, right? Like, you're like, I have to race them because I can't win the long game because I can't deal with these dragons. So it it has like this really cool thing where it has these really powerful cards that do really cool things, but only sometimes. So I think he was a huge flavor win too. Just like big gross dude. It should have been a brute, but you know, we're getting into semantics. You know, I saw a big green guy and I was like, fruit. Oh,
Got the cold foil on my desk at all times.
Well, yeah. I
He's here
mean,
with us.
he's hot. You know, you got to look at him sometimes.
He is.
All right. What was your favorite weapon from Outsiders?
So you say weapon. I'm going to take it a little bit differently and say quivers. It's like close enough, I think, to a weapon.
Sure. It could have been equipment or a weapon, but yeah. Either or. It's off.
I think quiver of rustling leaves is such a cool quiver. You know, to play off the top of my deck, like I'm playing Kano, but I get to play Lexi instead. Like the best of both worlds, you know? That card is just so flavorful, so much fun. Just like the leaves blowing the top of my deck off onto my like. There's been so many turns where I'm like 3 of a kind, draw 4 like buff spells, pitch them blind into an arrow, like just so much fun with that card. I love it so much.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Like quivers were such a awesome addition to the game, right? Like I think I talk about it in the set review next week, but or even Build talks about it. It's like this is the coolest thing we've had added to the game that makes sense, like until we see Levi redeemed, obviously. Like demi heroes are really cool too, you know? And I actually I'm gonna follow your lead there, and I'm gonna say Quiver of Abyssal Depths. First of all, the art, insane, right? Just like so cool. And you know, it doesn't save you against fatigue in like Ranger, but it can, right? It's not guaranteed and it doesn't always come up, but being able to pop that to throw 3 more potent arrows, like let's say if you need to throw one of your endless arrows back in or something like that, is super powerful. And just having that option, it's like almost like a panic button in a way, a lot like the rustling leaves is. And super cool. Glad they did quivers. Now, what was your favorite equipment from Outsiders?
Favorite equipment? I like Trench. I have not played a game with Trench yet, but I think the art is super cool. Like the pirate looking chess piece, just the mechanic of AB and getting the resource when you need to. I love everything about that card. I don't think it's good, but I love it. So
I'm going to be honest with you. I have the same answer here. Trench is my favorite because it is good. It's not good in all the Rangers. It's good in one Ranger, and it's the one that I play. But little side like story, little tangent. Like I always thought like, yeah, this card's pretty good. It makes sense in Riptide. It's doing things that you want it to do. And then I didn't realize how good it was until somebody turn 1 Tumultide me. I think it was me and Jesse Harper, the Orc Knight. Shout out to Jesse, who gave me a really awesome Riptide list I've been messing with. And he was playing Dromai, and he turned 1 Tumultide me, and I didn't have the Trench. And it's like, my game plan just feels so much clunkier now. It's like, it's not like really powerful on its own, but it's just like kind of like that oil that like your engine needs sometimes, which is pretty neat. So great answer. You know, look at us. We're so, you know, just great minds think alike.
As a backup. Also, yeah. Great minds. I agree with that. Both super smart here.
Yeah,
good
super
luck
smart.
You.
Yeah.
My backup was Flick Knives. Such a cool card that it's like, are you going to block with 2 attacks? I guess, you know, they block for 1 less now. Like with the daggers, it's such a cool mechanic that I love.
That's a great backup. I think I bring up on this podcast like all the time, like how much of a design win that card was, right? And you know, I'm sure people are tired of hearing it, but like they looked and like I've said this like many times. They looked at it, they were like, how do we make a card that makes it seem like we're throwing knives at people? And they designed it, and it makes total sense, and it works, and it's really neat. So, kudos LSS, hell of a job. Lastly, what's your favorite run of the mill card, non-attack action, attack action, instant, whatever you put in your deck.
I think my favorite new addition is Plunder Run. I mean, Premeditate. God, having that card back is so much fun. Let me tell you, Plunder Run was my favorite card in Chain. When I first started, I fell in love with that card. It getting banned was heartbreaking. So when I saw Premeditate, I was like, my baby is back. They just changed it a little bit, you know? So like, I love that card so much.
It's so good, but like also like really speaks to how good Plunder Run was, because Plunder Run was like a rare and came in all 3 colors. And then they were like, if we're reprinting it, it's going to make a Ponder and it's majestic and it only comes in red.
I almost like the Ponder part of it more. Like, it's clearly worse, but I love just being like, I get a Ponder token when it hits. Like, it just feels so good to be like, I get this token and I get a draw card later. Like, I get 2 cards for one. Even though it's only one, it feels like more value because I got to put the token out.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting, right? Because like, obviously drawing the card on Plunder Run was great to make a huge turn, and getting the Ponder is great for continuing to have good turns, which is really like, it's such a stark difference. But I think, I mean, probably in the long run, a Ponder will net you better results going forward. Like, obviously drawing a card in like Chain was insane, but you know, Chain was nuts, and we don't need to talk about Chain. But my favorite of the run-of-the-mill cards, I already mentioned it, but it's Collapsing Trap. No doubt. It just feels so good to pull that off, except against Rhinar, obviously. That does not feel good to pull it off against Rhinar. And don't do that, folks. It doesn't work the way you want it to. But but it just feels so good to be like, discard your hand, draw 1 less, I block 3 and dealt 1 damage to you. Like,
value.
We're like really doing it. It's on, like, it feels on par with a new equipment piece that we're getting in Dusk Till Dawn for Brute, which is, you know, it's just like punish the go wide decks. Love it. Keep printing different hate cards for go wide, right? Because go wide always seems to sneak in there. We have to like kind of temper it with like little pieces like this. So I love to see it. And I mean, that's it for Outsiders, folks. Let's all wave goodbye. Goodbye, Outsiders. We had
get
fun
a sad
with you.
song, like a Titanic sinking song, like do do do.
Dusk Till Dawn, my friend. We have a new set coming out next week. No, actually this weekend. And it's very exciting. It is the return of the Monarch storyline. You know, on this podcast, we did the lore. We talked about kind of some initial impressions on the cards we saw. We're going to do a full set review. But I thought it would be fun to have MoBogsly on to kind of just talk about each hero, right? We have 2 new heroes and 2 heroes getting a lot of support, right? Because this set is the set that is replacing OG Prism and Chain, right? We got a new Prism. We didn't get a new Chain, which probably for the best because Eclipse is pretty busted. Or Eclipse, actually, it's funny. They didn't give us a new Chain because in order to make Eclipse playable in New Chain, they had to do busted stuff again. So
I'm so upset.
Yeah.
I have like 10 cold foil Eclipses on my shelf because they hit like $30 at one point. So I just kept on buying them. And I was like, this card's gonna be busted. I bought like 2 Carrying Husks being like, they'll probably just ban this card. I don't need to buy a bunch. I'm like, oh, I bought the wrong card.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, Living Legend format's going to be the real deal, I bet. And you're going to love it because it's going to be like Starvo Prism Chain again. And
Prism.
Yeah. You're going to be like, everybody's hitting each other with rocks. It's the best format ever. It's either Blitz or Living Legend.
I'll just be playing Kano in the corner because everyone forgot about him. I'm like, yay, Kano.
Yeah. Now, so the first of the 2 new heroes is Prism, right? So it's Advent of Thrones for the young, and then I'm blanking on the old
Awakener of Soul.
Awakener of Soul. So obviously Prism's awakening something, right? So first of all, what does she do?
Whenever a card with Herald in its name is put into Prism's Soul during an action phase, you may search your deck for a figment, put it into the arena, then shuffle. Once per turn instant, red. Ban it. What did I say? Red. That's kind of
Eh.
banish a card from Prism Soul. Awaken target figment you control.
Yeah. So when we saw this text, we had no idea what it meant because we hadn't seen figments and we had not seen what awaken means, right? So figments, and I'm just going to bring one up here. They are Light Illusionist Instance dash Figment. That is the card type. They have no block. They all are yellow and they all cost 4. And they all have like an enter the arena effect. And they're also all legendary. You can only have one per your deck. So when this enters the arena, like this is Figment of Judgment. When this enters an arena, you may turn a card in any banished zone face down. So this is obviously like some tech against Shadow Heroes. And then what's on the other side? What do you awaken it to? You awaken it to an angel ally, a light angel ally. This one is Themis, Archangel of Judgment. And all the angels have the same kind of stat line, right? They're 4 attack, 4 health. They have ward 4, and they also have a once per turn action, pay 2 to attack. And then they all have different effects. This one says, when this attacks, you may banish a card from your hero's soul. If you do, turn a card in any banished zone face down. So usually the angel is doing something that the front side did, right? Like in some form or fashion. So basically, this alone, we see that Prism is kind of like this toolbox deck. Fetching figments, turning them into angels, and what have you. Now, that's not necessarily guaranteed that how people are going to play it. So does she look particularly powerful to you? Because also, she starts at low life, 32 life.
Mm-hmm. So remember that one tournament, I think it was in New Zealand, where a player brought a young Prism to a CC event and was running the tables?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be very similar to that, where you're going to play Prism, but with Iris, just like that player did. And you're going to be trying to double aura, just like the good old days, play a yellow and a blue in the same turn. And like, yeah, you'll have these figments in your deck. Yeah, they'll be decent. But I think the game plan is just going to be get those auras down and just go 4, go again with a ton of blues. Obviously, some good heralds, because heralds are still good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're just gonna play that value game of just like double aura you, 4 go again, and you really abuse auras because Spectra is an abusive mechanic.
Spectra is pretty nuts, and Iris, we saw with Dromai, right? That Iris is good enough to be just seen play in like Dromai. So that kind of begs the question, right? We have a new Luminaris, Celestial Fury. And obviously, original Luminaris was pretty good, pretty busted. This one is not quite as good. It comes at rare. It's a 2-handed Light Illusionist weapon. It says once per turn instant, you may pay 2, target angel attack or attack action card with Herald in its name gets go again. Certainly a strong effect, not nearly as good as Luminaris was. Do you think there is a world where this new Prism ever plays with this new Luminaris, or is it all Iris all day?
I think it is. You play with both. I think it's sideboard. I think when you need to race / aggro someone, you want to play the new one. They're just like, I don't know, War Tune Herald into Erudition, or I guess you do Erudition first, but you know what I mean? Like, Herald of Protection into Mirage Metamorph. The problem is you can't attack with your Spectra Shields then anymore. They're just kind of like chilling as 1/1s. I guess 1 defense. So it's a little awkward, but I do think you play both. I just think the Iris build will be better if the meta is slower with not a lot of action points. If it's like a bunch of Levias, just start jamming down these auras, and Levia's like, how do I pop all these? I guess roll scabs every turn.
You roll scabs. Thank you very much.
You roll 1 into another 1, and you just go, well, good game, boys.
Good game. Yep. I mean, I think we're still going to have like a lot of low to the ground aggro. So like maybe the Luminaris is going to see more play than we think. The cool thing is you can give your Herald go again. It hits. It goes into your soul. You go get your Figment, flip it. And then you can start cooking with gas with because it has a new legendary too that like helps you flip the awaken thing. So it's Empyrean Rapture. It's a legendary light illusionist equipment chest. It has no block, and if a card with Herald in its name was put into your hero soul during your turn, the first hero ability you activate this turn costs 2 less to activate. So all of a sudden, it's free, and that's a lot better, obviously. And then also you can pay 1 to give this ward 1, although you kind of want to keep this around as long as possible. But it's a nice little panic button. So it's hard to say.
I still think Tunic is better for the chess piece, though. As sad as it is, Tunic is just busted. Getting 1 free resource every 3 turns to play a yellow aura off 1 blue is just so much value.
Yeah, that's the Tunic problem, right? You know, it's just so good that you just want to play. Like, Carrying Husk is amazing, and I'm still like the math on like the new Levia. I'm like, maybe I do want the resource, but I really don't. But like, maybe I do. Who knows? But that being said, where do you think Prism's going to land in this meta? Like, it's certainly not underpowered, but like less tuned than the original Prism.
It's hard because if everyone's playing Briar and Lexi and these degenerate, just like dump my hand every turn, hope for the best kind of decks, I don't think Prism can survive. I don't think like Mirage Metamorph into another Herald is going to be good enough for the race. But if people are like, I'm going to clunk around with Bravo, or I'm going to clunk around with Dory, or like Levia, then I think she gets really good. Yeah. So week 1, if everyone's clunking around with the new stuff, I think she's probably like top tier.
Interesting.
But then like for nationals, when everyone's like, I'm there to race, because Americans love to race, not block. Like Americans like, I'm going to go fast and not block. So I think she's going to be not great at nationals, but I think she'll be great at probably Worlds, where it's like different players, you know? So I think it's format defying and depends what kind of play style people are bringing. So I'm going to say like middle of the pack. She's like great meta call depending on your locals for what events you're going to.
It's interesting. Now, is this a hero you're interested in playing?
I miss Prism. I talked so much crap on Prism back in the old days. And then Josh from Hometown TCG, we were playtesting at his house, and I had no idea what to play. So he tossed me Prism. I drove up to Milwaukee. I think it was the first time I ever met Ethan Mansant, and we met each other, and I played at a Pro Tour qualifier that like he was like helping stream. I did not lose a single match the whole day. I went like 9-0, just crushed the field. And I'm like, oh, this Prism deck's kind of cool. And I just could not put her down. So hated her at first, and now she's the best waifu. So
okay, interesting. You know, I kind of we have a question for you later that has to do with being a waifu. Well, that's cool. I'll be honest with you. I am a Prism hater too. I was a huge Prism hater, and I was so happy when she left. But I love little toolbox decks where you go fetch 1 card and you put it out, whatever makes sense for the situation. And when I saw these Figments and what they did, I was like, this is kind of really cool, right? Like, imagine like you get to do Shadow Blastment like all the time. Like that seems really, really cool. And like, it's probably like the Angels are very good, but you know, Ward is fine. And then they can still be just attacked in general. They are very risky to kind of have. And you're going to want to give something go again so that you can actually get the value out of the Angel right away. So it interests me. I will probably mess around with it, which sounds crazy. I don't think I would have ever said that. And
wow, you're a changed man, Tommy.
Here I am, 100 episodes later.
100 episodes in, we can finally say Prism is good and you love ranch. Wrap it up. We have. I don't love that white sauce dressing, whatever you want to call it. It's blue cheese all the way. All right, let's move on to Vincent. So Vincent is our new Shadow Rune Blade, and comes in young and old, or young and adult, however you want to say it. And I do know the name of the adult one on this one. It is Vincent Iron Maiden. And at the adult, it comes at 4 and 40 and then 4 and 20 health.
start of your turn, banish a card from your hand. If you do, create a rune chant token. Whenever you play a shadow non-attack action card, you may pay 1 life. If you do, the next rune chant effect you would deal damage this turn can't be prevented. Now, we can talk about that effect all we want. We know there's stuff that's playable from Banish from the Chain suite, but more importantly, Vincent got a suite of cards with the what do you call it? Mechanic Runegate. So Runegate, yes. Yeah. It says if you control rune chants equal to or greater than the card's cost, you may play it from your banish zone without paying the cost. So if it costs 3, if you have 3 rune chants, you can play for free from your banish zone, and it comes in attacking with 3 rune chants for no resources. Now, it's worth noting you have to banish from your hand if you have a card. So that is going to be very skill testing, right? It's going to be easy to accidentally miss that, and you'll get penalized by a judge. So it's worth noting. It's like, so what's your take on Vincent here? It's certainly no chain, which I think we can all agree is a good thing. But I like that it's a different vibe. What are your thoughts?
So one dumb question: is Seeds of Agony that's unbanned, right?
That's a good. I thought it was unbanned. I thought it was suspended until.
I think so.
Yeah, I believe so. But funny enough, I don't think I've seen many people playing that card.
So, if Chain was legal in this format, Chain does Chain stuff better.
Yeah.
Viserai does Viserai stuff better. Vincent is like between the two of them, right? If you want to do like some Chain stuff, some Viserai stuff, she is your perfect option.
Yeah.
She doesn't do either one better. But she's so flexible in this cool, like, I can make rune chants, but I can also play from the banish zone. Like, I love her. I can't wait to build a deck with her and start jamming games. I think there's so many cool cards like Meet and Greet that were always just kind of like thrown in the bulk bin. Like, this is decent, but we can't really make it work kind of cards that are now just like, wait, this always has the effect. This always does this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited about this. The lack of go again is a little upsetting with the like no hero power to give it go again. But so many cards already have go again nowadays that I think she's gonna be really cool to play with.
Yeah, I think like there's going to be the builds with her where it's like running the full 9 Mauvrian Skies and rune gating and then Rosetta Thorning probably. But it is worth noting that she does have Flail of Agony, which is her specialization. It's a 1 attack flail, one-handed, that you can just pay a life to attack, and then if it hits, you create a rune chant token. So like you have some options here. They gave some offhands too. Like Grimoire of the Haunt is probably going to be the one that sees the most play. It's an offhand that has Arcane Barrier 1, Blood Debt, and then you can banish it to create an Eloquence token. Eloquence token gives your next non-attack go again, which there's a lot of synergy there. But it seems to be this not weird, I don't want to say weird, but like it seems to be like a different strategy where you're like, I'm building up rune chants and I'm going to hit you with something devastating, right? Like this is going to be like a brutal big attack. And this is it's kind of cool, right? Because Viserai and Chain were always just go wide, right? This is go tall for sure with these rune chants. So does she look powerful to you?
She does, and it could be like my brewer brain inside of me trying to like break her and like doing all this crazy stuff. But I think she looks strong. There's so many cool ways to build her. You can go aggro, you can go mid range, you can go a slower version.
Mm-hmm.
The version I'm most excited for is a super like slow control deck that tries to get like 10 cards in banish every turn, like banish seeds, and then just do the old Chain game plan of like seeds, like and just have a huge like how was the finisher card? Oh, I'm blanking. The one that gets +1 attack for each card non-attack actually played this turn.
Oh, that was Rift Binding.
Yes, a huge Rift Bind turn with her. Just like banish a bunch of stuff every turn, like slowly build this game plan of your opponent just seeing you build this banish zone.
Yeah, but then you're taking all that blood debt, but obviously you're just going to have to play a really defensive game outside of that. I think that could work, but like these RuneGate cards are also pretty insane. Like we have like a little bit of a cycle of Majestics called they're all widespread, right? Widespread Annihilation, Destruction, and Ruin, coming at blue, yellow, and red. And they all have, I mean, they're all coming in for different numbers. You can look them up. I think it's all coming in for 6 here, but the blue costs 4, the yellow costs 3, the red costs 2, but they all have this line of text. When the combat chain closes, each hero who has lost a life, and then it will do something. The blue says each hero that lost a life this turn banishes a card from their hand. Insane. Obviously, that's the most expensive one. Destruction, which is the yellow one, it says or when the combat chain closes, each hero who lost a life this turn banishes a card from their arsenal, which is obviously we all know very good. And then the red one is banish the card from the top of the deck. Not as good, but obviously a 2-cost Rune Gate card is pretty easy to hit. Like 2 Rune Chance is pretty easy. So I think Vincent's very scary. I don't think it's overtuned like Chain was, but certainly something that I think is going to be a player. Where do you see it kind of like week 1, right? Like I think we have a tournament this weekend.
So this weekend, I don't think there's enough time to test because there's so many new cards. I don't think she's going to show up super strong week 1. But I think the Chicago one, I think she's going to be out in full force. I think give her like 2 weeks and people can finally like figure out the ratios and stuff like that. So I say she's a week 2 hero.
Week 2. You heard it here first, folks. Week 2, Vincent. Definitely scary. Very cool. That's like another hero that I'm interested in playing. Chain was my first hero, so this is kind of right up my alley here. I mean, I just love shadow stuff. And speaking of shadow stuff, Levia. Arguably the winner of this set in terms of support. So, we talked about last week on the podcast, but Redeemed and Consumed is a huge demi-hero, new type of card you leave in your inventory if you meet the requirements of transforming Levia into one of the two. You do it. That is a huge boon here. We also got the Slithering Shadowpede, another huge boon, and some other really cool cards as well. So I've talked at length about how excited I am for Levia. I want to talk to you, who've only played Levia once, against me and killed yourself with Blood Debt. What are your thoughts? Do you think this is enough? Does this push her into some kind of upper echelon of the meta?
So when I first started Flesh and Blood, I picked up the 4 Blitz decks from, I think it was Star City Games at the point. I don't remember who. I think it was Star City. Picked them up, got them delivered with a box of Monarch. Super excited. Me and my brother both played. I picked Levia for my starting character because she looked badass.
She is.
Ever since then, I fell in love with her art. Smash with Big Tree is still probably my favorite card to this day. I always loved her. It's my first Blitz deck I ever made. Not a good deck, but it was my first Blitz deck. My first skirmish I ever went to was Levia. I did a sealed skirmish, drafted Levia, and did her in sealed. Probably not the best idea. Went to a Blitz skirmish, brought her in that. Top 8 at both events. I was killing it, right? So in Blitz, I always loved her.
She's great in Blitz, yeah.
I definitely fell out of love with her because she isn't a competitive viable hero the last few. I know it hurts, Tommy. I know.
Oh, it's true. It's true. I get it. I get
it. But seeing this set again, I took my Blitz deck last night that has been the same since I started 3 years ago. Like barely any rares, barely any majestics, just like a child's first Blitz deck. And I was skimming through it and I was like, I can't wait to play with this deck again. Like so many new cards to put in there. Smash with Big Tree will still make the cut. That card is never getting cut. But I'm so excited for all the new cards. Don't laugh. That card is so good.
Okay, yeah, sure. 2 for 7 is great. You have that in Hungering Slaughter Beast, and like you have Swing Big now.
The art, Tommy. The art.
The art is great. The art is great. Yeah, I mean, Levia was always like Brute. Just in general, was always pretty crazy in Blitz. Not like crazy, but like always viable. This makes her way more viable in Blitz. But what about CC? Is this something you would consider for Classic Constructed?
I am definitely considering it. I have played, I think, one, maybe two games with like a new, probably really bad Leviathan deck that I threw together on Tyler Shar. I played a few games with it. I really enjoy her playstyle. I enjoy managing the different zones. But I think if it becomes a Leviathan metagame, there are certain people that are going to dominate the field. One of them is you, and the other is Matsat. I think if this becomes a Leviathan metagame, the people that have hours and hours of this hero know how to navigate all these different zones and will dominate these future events. She is not an easy hero to pick up. She's not an easy hero to play. There's so many small decisions in deck building and play patterns and everything that I'm excited because I love high skill cap heroes like Kana, like Prism. And if I could throw Levia under my belt and go win an event with Levia, I'll be stoked. Like, I am excited for this.
Well, I gotta say, my heart is warm that you think I would dominate any kind of meta. I mean, I really appreciate that. I understand it's 100 episodes. You're being really nice. That's super cool. I will say, the realist in me, I think that it's so hard for Levia to actually dominate a meta unless I really gave her something. Like, obviously, these upgrades are great, and so on and so forth. There might be a list that is in a position to dominate the meta. I don't know if we've seen it yet. It's still very much a similar game plan with like some nice safety nets, which we always lacked, which could be enough to put us into the upper echelon here. But is it enough? Do you think this is enough? What we got is it enough for Levia to be S tier? Because S tier is tough to hit.
I really hope that she becomes S tier. I am brewing this deck, and I think I'm going to put at least 50 games of Levia in before the Battle Hardened in Chicago. I'm going to really try to understand this hero and take her to the Battle Hardened.
You're taking her to the Battle Hardened?
Not locked in. I'm going to try.
Okay.
If you can send me a list, and I can learn how to play her, I would love to play Levia. I played Azalea when the last set came out at Battle Hardened in Chicago. That was Battle Hardened. It was the Realm Game Invitational. I bought Azalea then. I want to play Levia now. Just a hero I've loved since I started this game, but couldn't play because I wanted to do well in tournaments. It was such a hard battle to be like, she's purple. I love her art style. There's so much cool things. The new mechanic of banishing cards from your hand is sick.
Yeah.
I get to roll dice. 2 years ago, I went to Gen Con, which is like the largest gaming convention, for board games and stuff. I bought a little like dice jail. Like, it's like a little jail with like spiky stuff on the side that you put like bad dice into, right? And I bought a dunce cap for dice if you roll a bad number for Levia. I bought all this stuff thinking I was a Levia main. Then I was going to bring it to tournaments. And if I ever rolled a 1, I was going to put a dunce cap on it.
Put it in jail.
I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
That's awesome.
And then I learned Levia sucks. I never used this.
Let's relax.
But now it's our time to shine, Tommy. Me and you, we've been training our whole life.
Yeah. All right, folks, the listeners at home, this guy's blowing smoke right here. He uses a Kano Prism nut over here. Don't listen to him. But obviously, you're welcome into the warm embrace of her tentacles, and we're happy to have you. I hope that she's where it needs to be. It really depends on where the meta shakes out to be. She's very targetable if she is really good, so that could be very tough. So, but we haven't really had outside of Blitz, we haven't really had a brute dominated meta. So it'd be interesting. Might not happen now, but it might happen when the Savage Land sets comes out, whenever that's going to be. So keep your eyes peeled, folks. It could be the time of the brute. Time of the brute is here. End of the age of man.
One question.
What?
Remember the last time you had me on the pod?
Yeah.
I picked my favorite equipment.
Yeah.
From that set. Do you remember what it is?
I don't.
It was a brute equipment.
Was it Scab Skin?
No, of the new set. What was that? God.
Was it Skull Crusher?
I want to know if I can play that. Was it Dynasty?
Dynasty. I don't know.
What? It was the foot equipment. We had the brute's big toes on it. What's that?
Yes. The one that if you discard a card at random, you may pop it to get an action point. It's a lot like Hooves of the Shadow Beast, but for Rhinar.
Yes. Oh, I think it was in the classic battles. Was that it?
No, it was in Dynasty. It was in Dynasty. It was.
If I can play that equipment and see those toes every game, I'm locked in on Leviathan. Let me tell you, like that's all it takes.
I mean, I don't know if you're gonna want to play Hooves probably every single time, but hey, listen, you build her however you want, man. I'm not gonna go wild with a Berserk Leviathan deck and go nuts. Now Bolton, one of my other favorite heroes. I think low key, Bolton got the most support. Like if you take away the redeemed consumed stuff that Levi got, I think Bolton got like a lot going on. That being said, my real question here, like, because I don't think either of us know enough about Bolton, but my real question to you though is, while these new cards are very good, are they enough to overcome the inherently brutal cost of charging from hand? Right? Because that's the issue with Bolton, right? Like if you're not on the Lumina combo, it's just so hard to play a game where you need to charge, right? Mm-hmm. It just can be really tough, but we got a lot of support here. What do you think?
So Bolton is my favorite hero to draft in Monarch. I always loved drafting him. He was just so much fun. Like in a limited session, he is, I think, one of the better heroes. Like he's so much fun to play in draft. I think you look at him in CC, and he's been getting cards here and there. He got the legendary 2 sets ago that lets him combo off at instant speed. That was cool. But looking at the cards, I want him to be good enough, but I still think Warrior is probably the worst class in the game, like by a long shot. And I don't think this does enough to boost up the Warrior cards and the light Warrior cards to a playable set. Like, I really wish. I don't think I own any Warrior legendaries just because I don't think it's a class I ever need to invest in. Like, which is sad because I love Bolton's art. I love his mechanic of charging and the soul, but he's just so far below that I don't see it.
That's interesting. You've had a couple hot takes on this episode, right? And I think that's the hottest one. That you said Warrior is the worst class by a large margin.
I do. Who do you think is worse?
I mean, unfortunately, like until now, Brute maybe. Like
you think so? But
Rhinar wins some stuff. Yeah, it's you.
When
might
does Warrior win? Does Warrior ever win CC? Like,
I mean, like Dorinthia will win some stuff here and there, right? And Bolton, like certainly combo Bolton has gotten wins in the past and has been set up for some big wins. But that's interesting. Who is the worst class? I think it's Wizard.
Please tell everyone to leave their AB at home. Never ban Stormstriders again, and we're okay. Like,
yeah, no, okay, maybe I can concede to that fact that Warrior is arguably the worst class in CC that we have, but there are a lot of great stuff that he got here, and I will be honest with you, Mo, I played against a Dorinthia with the new axe, the Decimator axe. Let me read it real quick here for the folks at home. It is a 4-attack, 2-handed axe, costs 3 to attack, and it says the first time this is defended by a non-equipment card each turn, have the base of target defending card rounded up. So 3s become 2, 2 becomes 1, right? I played a Fatigue Dorinthia deck playing this axe, and I will be honest, it felt almost unbeatable. Like,
really?
Like it like for the deck I was playing, obviously. I think I was on Leviathan. So like it did the Oldham thing without being Oldham, right? With like some Warrior cards. And Warriors got like quite the fridge now too with their equipment. So kind of scary. I want to see Bolton. I want to see Raiden Bolton really kind of shine. Mostly because I bought a cold foiled Raiden, but not that I want to sell it. I want to play it. What's the point of having this cool looking awesome sword if I'm not playing it? So yeah, I hope I hope that the time of Warrior being the worst class according to MoBogsly is over, and everyone can comment on the video and shame you.
I'm gonna have so many hate comments. Like,
yeah, Dorinthia and Bolton fans are pretty, passionate. So you
all
opened
four
up
of
the
them
flood.
can be upset. I'll take the 4 haters. It's okay.
You opened up the floodgates. All right. Well, are you ready for some listener questions and some, 100 episode
Really fast. Can we
comment?
talk about the new equipment we got in this set?
Yeah. Which? Oh, yes.
Are we talking about the same ones here? Are we both excited for Blitz equipment that I think is really strong?
The front line.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, there's a suite of equipment at Rare in this new set called Frontline Helm, Plating, Gauntlets, and Legs.
Yes.
Blocks 2, pretty great, right? Has Blade Break. Okay. At the beginning of your end phase, put a -1 counter on this. So not good in CC, right? Unless you're like, I'm blocking with this turn 0 no matter what. This is great in Blitz, I think.
I agree.
Where do you see this being great in Blitz?
I see this in the aggromares. If you just like are playing a class that doesn't have like a good leg, a good arm, like you just have a useless slot.
Mm-hmm.
I know for the longest time, I think it was Prism was running like useless gloves just because they had nothing better to run. Just like a 2-block gloves that you can keep a card if you wanted to,
Yeah.
Like it kind of sucks if you're in first, but not really, because you just have 4 block if you just bring the fridge of this.
Yeah.
Obviously, you always want tunic and stuff, but I think it's just an interesting design. I wish it was 3 block instead of 2 block.
Pretty nuts.
But is it though? Like, is 3 block that much more nutty?
I think it is. I really think it is.
If you go first, then it goes on to 2. So you have 8 block.
Yeah.
Because you can't block with it on turn 0. So like,
True. But the nice thing is you get to choose your equipment after you figure out if you're going first or second. So,
which is a thing most people I don't think realize that is very important. Mm-hmm.
It's very important. I love this. Honestly, I love this solely for the reason that Rhinar exists in Blitz, right? Like this seems so good, like against Rhinar if you're going second, right? I fully expect to get intimidated to all hell, and I have some good equipment to commit to it. Like
I've died 0 so many times against Reinhardt on Kano. I'm like, okay, cool. My hand's gone, and I'm dead. Thanks to the game. Like,
and now you have at least a little bit of regency there, which is nice. So yeah, no, I'm glad you brought those up because I always forget about Blitz, and that's why I bring you on because you're just my
your favorite. You can say it. I'm your favorite.
I was gonna say Blitz Bud, but yeah, you're my favorite. I mean, you're here on episode 100. Like, you gotta be some kind of cool.
I missed episode 69, but that's okay. We'll forgive you.
That's all right. You can be on 169. How's that sound? Just remind me.
420. Locking it in now. Right now.
Yeah, lock it in. Clip it. All right, let's get to some listener questions. First comes from Sigma, who asks for MoBogsly. What are your thoughts on the new DTD cards, especially Shadow Brute, and are you going to try to mess/break with the new Leviathan card, or is it not worth putting a finger on them? We kind of already covered this, but if you have a better answer.
Just like the cards in general, there was one card I just closed out of that I love. Here we go. Dimensional Vortex. I slaughtered that name. 3 costs. You may play it from your banish zone. If you do, it costs 2 less to play. Each hero banishes a card from Arsenal.
Insane.
Cards like this that Shadow got that I think might push Leviathan up a little bit more as this like mid-rangey deck. Because I think mid-range Leviathan, for me at least, I could be wrong, is like the sweet spot. Not too controlling, not too aggro, but like taking good blocks and taking good swings. So I think cards like that where you could banish shit, pay 1 to just say, hey, goodbye to your arsenal, like,
and you can turn off your own blood debt with it, which is
yeah,
it's both arsenals. So you like
I wasn't even thinking about that.
It's like a nice little panic. Like Levi got this whole suite of panic buttons, and Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like all these like little things that like you can run the Shadow Blasphemous package and go like the recursion package, right? Like you can go get Howl from Beyond, Ghostly Visit this. There's a couple other things in the set. Yeah, that's a card that
The new helmet that God, was it like Intimidate or something when you block with it? I gotta find it
Scowling
again.
Flesh Bag. Yep.
That helmet is insane to me. I love that. The new weapon might not be good. You're the Leviathan player. Hellhammer.
So
I
good.
really want to play that card. Like,
Card's-
so bad.
Card's insane, right? It turns on Blood Debt.
It turns out Blood Debt. It's a 2 for 6.
2 for 6.
Like it just
and
seems great.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, it's a 2 for 6 hammer that banishes itself when the combat chain closes. Now, also worth noting, it pops Spectre and you get to keep it. Which is
really?
Yeah, because like that's how Hexagore worked, right? Like you could swing Hexagore and not take damage if you're hitting Spectre because like the attack, I guess, like just doesn't happen or whatever. And this is just adds to that kind of cool thing that you can do. Yeah. So
And the last card that I really love the art for, I'm not sure if it's good, was the Death Hydra, the 6 cost, 13 attack, deals X damage to you. X is minus 13, where X is the cards of Blood Debt in the Banish Zone. Like, I don't know if that card's good enough, but it seems sick. Like, I love the art. I want it.
it's really cool. And if you're running Rouse the Ancients, it is worth it.
I have it there. Oh, it's sick.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? Yeah.
My little Timmy brain right now is like spinning.
Because then you can rouse the ancients and then pitch this for Hexagore, pitch this for Hellhammer or whatever, or even just like, Romping Club. It doesn't really matter. Most of the brute weapons cost 2. So it's pretty awesome. Now the next question comes from Andromeda, and we kind of covered this as well. Why does Momo like Kano so much? Isn't Prism a better waifu?
So, it goes back to like, you have your waifu, right? Like Prism's my at-home girl. Like me and her were, we're homies, not homies. She's my waifu, right? Like we're married,
Yeah.
Got the body pillar on the bed. But like Kano's one of the boys, Like I go with Kano to play video games. We go play hockey together. Like Kano's a homie. He's a boy. And it's okay to kiss the homies goodnight, but you just go back to your waifu at the end of the day and you're all good. So
Sure. You heard it here first, folks. Kiss your homies goodnight. I've always said that.
when I stayed at Tommy's Airbnb, we kissed each other goodnight every single night.
Single night. I was like, good night. No. Next question comes from Flake, and it's for me. It says, I love you. I love you too, Flake. Next, another one from Sigma for this show is, what will season 2 be like? Are you planning any changes, any new ideas? I will say, actually, season 2 was the second year of the podcast. We're about to enter the 3rd season, and nothing crazy new, but like I'm always trying to kind of explore some new stuff that we can do on the podcast and like keep it fresh and buds, and have some good times. But very excited, and I'm very happy to have made 100 episodes, and hopefully we do another 100. So a lot of fun. Next comes from Rabbit, who asks, what exactly happened in that Chili's that night?
I think I signed an NDA. I don't know if I can say exactly what happened at that Chili's. It was a good time. If you weren't at the Chili's, you should have been at the Chili's. God, who was even at that Chili's?
I wasn't at the Chili's.
That's insane that you weren't at the Chili's, because I met the 3 people I went to Chili's with that night.
Yeah.
Like we all met like either that day or the day before.
Yeah, you guys are just wilding out at Chili's. We didn't even know where you were. And like, I think I was just at the Airbnb with Logan and Dagan just having Indian food. And you guys came back and were like, Chili's was lit. And we're like, what the heck?
Yeah, we had some chips and salsa. I think that's when me and Gary confessed our love to each other.
Sure.
It was just like a fun, like double, triple, quadruple date. Like, listen, what happens at Chili's stays in Chili's, and if they're going to Vegas, hopefully we can do Chili's again. Like,
is there like a huge Chili's in Vegas, or just probably
I
a
have
normal
no idea.
Chili's?
But I'm just saying, like, if you haven't gone to Chili's with 3 of your closest friends that you met that weekend/day, and you're really living your life,
That's what this is all about. Hang with your buds, even if you just met them, and even if you're at Chili's doing God knows what. Next, we have a question from Capolo, who says, Mo. Do you think Kano will still reign supreme in Blitz, even though they printed the Radiant and Darkness equipment for few of the heroes? Now, for those of you who don't know, both Light and Shadow got a suite of equipment that you can just pop to prevent 2 damage. It could be physical or arcane. Now, the Light ones require you to banish a card from Soul as well. The Shadow ones don't require anything, just popping it, but they do have Blood Debt. Obviously, Levi doesn't care as much, but Vincent will have to deal with that Blood Debt for the rest of the game.
So it's interesting. So let's talk about the chain. Well, I'm going to call it the chain equipment first, right? Because let's be honest, chain is the better Blitz hero.
Yeah.
That's annoying. Chain was always a close matchup to begin with because they could go so fast and it was always fun. With that kind of equipment, if I can trick them to pop it early, that's fine for me, right? Because then I can just start playing defensively. They're going to take 1, 2, 3 damage a turn. And I can still just pop off at the end of the game and kill them. It makes cards like Sonic Boom worse, though, because Sonic Boom just never hits. The Light one, they need to banish a card from Soul, correct?
Yeah. So that one does require a little bit of setup and a cost.
Yes, that one is less scary because if they have cards in their Soul, they're already probably winning at that point then, let's be honest. If Prism has hit me a few times, I'm probably like at 5 or 6. And the game's probably pretty much over. I think the Shadow ones are the better ones, but I still think Kano is the best deck in Blitz, even with the new skirmish changes and stuff. It's just such a hard deck to play against that unless you've played 100 games with or against a Kano, you're going to make those small mistakes, and a good Kano player will always punish you. So,
yeah, I'm having flashbacks to my time in Adam from the Combat Chains hotel room in Vegas last year, where we were testing Blitz, and he was on Kano, and I was just messing around with Leviathan, and I lost like every game except one. And I mean that I put in like 20 games against Kano. I don't know why I kept saying yes to doing it again. To be honest, it was like, I just hope I don't run into Kano. So yeah, Kano is still very strong.
And that's the big strategy, which I think is wrong. So many players I've played against at these like battle hardened Blitz events are like, I've never played against Kano before. Some like big name players that are on like these big teams I'll play against, and they're reading my cards, and I'm like, this is like embarrassing for the both of us at this point now because like, Kano's one of the best decks, and if you don't know how to play against him, you're just gonna auto lose. Round 1 of the Team Blitz event was in Vegas last year, was it?
Yeah.
My opponent brought no AB, didn't even like recognize Kano as a deck, and the game was over turn 0. And I just felt terrible. I'm like, sorry, dude. Like, welcome to Blitz, I guess, because
you're gonna learn today. You know, that's just, that's just what it is. And then a final question from Dagan White, who asks, favorite travel location story. Doesn't have to be Flesh and Blood related. And then he kind of put in quotes here on this episode of Where in the World is MoBogsly?
I can't believe you're going to do that every episode for the next season. You're going to call me in for the last segment and talk about it. That's crazy, Tommy. Wow.
That'd be a fun segment.
I have so many cool travel memories. I think going to Japan this year was super cool. Going to Universal Studios in Japan and going to Super Mario World was just like such a cool experience to see. Going to Germany was sick. Going to Antwerp to play Flesh and Blood. I've never thought I would travel out of the country to play in a calling. Like, that was cool. One of the cooler memories I think I had that is Flesh and Blood related was the Nationals, where I had no place to stay and you were just like, come chill at the Airbnb. That was Nationals, right?
Yeah. In Charlotte?
Yeah, just chilling. Yeah, we're chilling with all you guys in the Airbnb that I never met really before, besides like you.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody else. Like, it was... I showed up and people were just jamming games, and I was like, I don't know anybody here really besides like 2 people.
But you made
that
some
was pretty
fast
sick, too.
friends, I think. I mean, like, obviously we were already
Yeah.
buds, but Dagan, Logan, Gary.
Me and Logan knew each other a little bit before that.
Yeah,
I think it was just
Gary.
you and Logan that I knew.
Who else was there? Rabbit, Andromeda. Yeah, we had like a whole cast of characters there. That was a great
just such
weekend.
like, and now that people, whenever I see them at events, I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? I'm like, after that event, I messaged in the Team Ascent Discord. I'm like, we need to get this Dagan guy on the team because he's just a cool person, So like,
It's also he's good, I think.
he's like, I don't know. I think he's kind of bad at the game. I think it's just a soft field.
Yeah, pretty soft. Honestly,
Good
yeah.
matchups, I think, is what he gets. I really don't know how that works.
I don't know if his MetaZoo skills really transfer.
I think he's going back to MetaZoo, actually. I think he's just using us for content.
No way.
Yeah, I think it's like I tricked the Flesh and Blood people to think I like them. It's like a huge 10-hour long YouTube documentary of how he snuck into I think it's sick. But I think traveling is only cool with the people you're with. And if you're just solo traveling, it's not cool. But if you're traveling with buds or meeting new buds, it makes it worth it. Going to the one Panthers game was sick at Nationals.
And I mean, that was a great weekend. Yeah, and we have one note here. I also asked people what they liked from the show, and Gary just says he likes when you bully me. I think the bullying was pretty low on this episode, but
I'm sorry. I kind of bullied Warrior players and other players instead of bullying you.
That's okay. They took the fall for me in a valiant effort, as a Warrior should. Hey, I do want to thank everyone. 100 episodes of Fresh and Buds. This was, I to be honest, I couldn't. I was thinking so much about who I wanted on the show for 100 episodes. And it's like MoBogsly is my guy here, and I remember last episode we got off the horn and we were both like, that was so much fun. We got to do it again. And I was like, I do want to do it again. And it just so happens it's going to be on episode 100. So I want to say thank you. You're a great bud. The buds love you. And, I love all the buds. Thank you all for listening for 100 episodes. We're going to try to do 100 more, 500 more. Who knows? As long as this game's going, I'm going to try to go. So thank you all so much. And thank you, Mo. You're the best. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Tommy.
Plug anything you got to plug, my friend.
Oh, God, the plug. I guess I'll plug Team Ascent. Some of the coolest people I ever met playing cards. Really great group of guys. Min-Max Games, which is our sponsor for Team Ascent. If you want to buy some Flesh and Blood cards, use code ASCENT, ASCENT, for 5% off your order. We get a kickback of that as well. So you're supporting the team. You're supporting one of the coolest, if not the coolest, game stores to ever exist, in my opinion. They went all in on Flesh and Blood. If you want some Flesh and Blood related merch, go to ascent-gaming.com and use code SAVAGE for 5% off some cool merch. And follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/MoBogsly. I shitpost on there mainly. I bully people. And be sure to go to your local grocery store and buy some ranch. And if you find some blue cheese, just slam it on the ground. Just get rid of the blue cheese. Anyone that has a video of them slamming blue cheese on the ground, I will Venmo $5. So just go ahead.
You're going to be down like $500. I swear to God.
That's a joke, please. I cannot afford that.
Oh my God. Well, thank you. Please do check all that stuff out. All the info there will be in the show notes. As always, you can continue to find me on Twitter at FreshBudsPod. Getting close to 1,000 followers there. That's kind of fun. Check out the Buds Discord. It's a great place to hang out. If you're listening to this, go check out the YouTube. Give us a like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching this, if you're not subscribed, give us the old subscribe. We're getting close to 500. We're gonna do the Levi cosplay. It's gonna be a lot of fun. There is some Fresh and Buds merch, limited amount, including this shirt that says "I survived 100 episodes of Fresh and Buds." It's not a lot, but the link is in the bio, so get it while it's hot. And yeah,
can I get that link now?
Can you get that link? Yeah, you can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get in before the.
For sure. I'll give you a link. All right. Yeah. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in for 100 episodes. I really appreciate it. I've come a long way. I got some really nice messages. I got roasted by a bunch of people. That was fun. It's a great time. I love this community. I love the buds, and thank you so much. As always, like to talk about food. At the end of every episode, MoBogsly, what are you going to talk about? Because I have a feeling it's going to start with the letter R and end with Anch. So,
You said that again. What was it?
ranch.
Are we not going to bleep it out this time? Are we going to leave it in there for?
I'll leave that up to Greg, to be honest. What do you want to talk about?
Oh God, on the spot for food.
You said there was some good food in Belgium. What was the good food in Belgium?
Oh. So in Belgium, if you're ever in Antwerp, there is a restaurant. Just message me if you're in Antwerp, and I will tell you it. It is all you can eat ribs for 35 euros, which is like 30 American-ish or somewhere around there. It's like 30 American dollars. All you can eat ribs and potatoes. And let me tell you, I downed so the first thing would be like a big thing of ribs. Yeah. I downed that. The waiter comes around, I'm like, can I have another one? He's like, yeah, of course. Give me like a half slab, right? Fine, no big deal. He comes around again, gives me a half slab again. I go, can I get 2 of those? And he kind of looked at me like this American asking for 2 half slabs at once. He gave it to me, right? So I'm at like 4 or 5 half slabs at this point, right? He comes around again. And then you go, hey, and he goes, I have a big one for you. Don't worry, friend. Give me a full slab. This
guy's like, I understand what he's trying to do. I'm going to help
I had
him.
like 7 or 8 half slabs for like $30. And these are some of the best ribs I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
Let me tell you, it was so good. And the fries in Belgium, I think they call them fritters, like fritters, like fritters.
Mm-hmm.
Such good fritters.
Nice.
I hope that's the word. That's be really bad if that's not the word.
I love me some fritters. Man, that does sound really good though, honestly.
It's so good.
But thank you for sharing.
With nice ranch.
That's enough. Thank you for sharing, Mo. Thank you for coming on. Thank you everybody for listening. We ran out of time for Charmer yet again, but we'll get to him next week, I am sure. Everybody have a great week.